So basically we started with all of our immersion and empathy looking at the gold rush and the gold fields. The persuasive side of writing essays was a big part of this term. And from that we then looked at the Eureka Stockade, and the Eureka flag was something that the kids really were engaged in finding out how it was made, why it was made, and we used the book The Night We Made the Flag as a really big stimulus for that. We came up with the idea that the school doesn't have a flag, and that was our big problem then. So first of all, the kids came up with questions for the inquiry, then we went around and surveyed all the classes. They collated all their results into graphs based on individual classes, and then a whole school graph as well, and they presented it digitally and in their books as well. From that information then they went on to start designing and prototyping. So we spoke about what things were actually doable and what weren't. So we used the NUF, New Usable Feasible, to collate our ideas. And then they went off and they started to design their own flags, giving each other feedback as they went. We've had about 2 days that we went the whole day, from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, where they just went and created, and it was really awesome because I could sit back. It was that real handing over of the ownership to them, and I just sort of sat back, helped them with some sewing, and a few of the teacher aides, and Leslie, who knew how to crochet, helped the boys who crocheted, and it's just been such an amazing thing to watch as a teacher.
It's enabled them to differentiate without making having to plan huge things. You just have to have something small there, and you can differentiate, because the kids will differentiate themselves. They'll use the skills they already have, and as a very experienced old teacher, I do know that children learn in spite of what we do with them. If we just give them the freedom to use their skills that they already have, a lot of them are creative. There's quite a few students in this class who have language difficulties and some learning difficulties, and unless you knew that, you would not have known that today. Would not have known it, because there are some students in here who wouldn't speak in a normal classroom, and they've been able to, and Lenny is a perfect example of that. Lenny would not, and yet he was in the staff room the other day when I was planning with teachers, talking to me about what the flag, he was telling them about the flag, about why he was crocheting it, and they were asking questions, well, will you get it finished? He said no. He knew that he wouldn't get it finished, but it didn't matter. He could explain why he was doing it the way he was doing it and the symbols behind it.
When we got on to pitching their ideas, we did a how to pitch an idea template, and they sort of worked out what they were going to do. And then they created those basically independently. I scribed for a few of the groups, but all the ideas were straight from them. And then they practiced over the weekend. I know a few of them went over each other's houses to practice it, so they really just got so into it. It really comes down to that empathy too. They just cared so much about this. They just developed that, that passion for making something that would affect the community. That they definitely had that ownership over it, and it was all theirs, and they wanted to get it done. They wanted to do it the best way they could. And a lot of the kids who have trouble with their reading and their writing, being able to pitch their ideas verbally has been great, because a lot of them have got very good language skills, but just struggle to write it down, or struggle to read it off a page. But when it's all their own words and they can practice it themselves, they really did enjoy that.
Mine, can we brag? The dove represents the peace in our school. The lovely cross represents our Catholic school. And this is the Tomorrow Show. I'll give you a reason, just a little one to know, to convince you that our flag's the best. You will be very impressed. It represents our school. Our pride and values on display. We want the whole world to see. You will be happy indeed.
Seeing the stuff that they can come up with, giving them the trust and giving them the opportunity, And I think the really valuable thing has been that Brendan has come in and seen them do their pitches and actually gave them feedback on that yes, I will do this, we'll get this happening, because their faces when he said that, and he would include bits from everybody's, it just, it's that real life experience, it's that real life problem that they've now solved. And like they said in their pictures, it's something that future generations will see, and they'll know that they were a part of creating that. But yeah, and it's something that we, often in curriculum, we stop once we've got the answer. We don't take it that extra step and, you know, all right, well, how does this apply to the real world now? So yeah, it's just giving them that next step.
The big thing for me was when we planned originally, we thought that it would be Eureka that they would kind of get their claws into, but we wanted to link it with, instead of making it something extra so that teachers could see that it really links with everything in curriculum.
We did our maths, statistics and graphing, and it tied in perfectly with our persuasive text for this term. And I think the design, the skills as such, especially prototyping, we used that when we initially wrote letters to Mr. Creevy about why we should. And yeah, I got them to do a quick draft. It was 5 minutes, let's just go write down ideas, and then we went back to it. So even those little skills of prototyping, that it doesn't have to be this one amazing final thing, that let's do a couple and let's build up to what we know, like to the best thing we can do.
I'm most amazed in the fact that the kids have made all these connections and they've carried the connections all the way through. Like, sometimes as teachers, I think we think we've taught something and then that's it. But now every child who got up could say, look, something about the connection to the symbol. This symbolises our history. This symbolises the values we live by. This symbolises a Catholic school. And we could teach that. You can't teach that with worksheets or whatever. That will stay with them forever.